Well, listen, Piers, historically, you've, kind of been talking about this whole thing with Ye for a little while. So I've actually got a Ye thing as well for you. So why would you go to that island, Piers?
But Pierce is trying to do his whole grandstanding thing and be like, oh, you were with these people, they were doing this thing, so you must be bad too. And Clavicular actually gets a pretty good jab back at him, and he gets him on his own logic. And I just figured it was worth talking about and showing, because Piers Morgan is all the time trying to grandstand over people, and whether he's better than them or not, that's not for anybody to say. But I was kind of shocked that out of everybody on the internet, Clavicular is the one who I feel like beat his own logic with his own logic against him the best. Let's check this out.
Make him look bad. It was just a little ridiculous.
Well, actually, all I said to him was, do you think you'd be less intense about everything if you just got laid? I was just having a bit of fun with it.
That was when Piers Morgan tried to use Nick Fuentes' saving himself for marriage, religion aspect as to why he doesn't go around and get with a bunch of different girls. And that's a great example of how he tries to, he says it's not gotcha moments, but he definitely has his own, pseudo gotcha moments that he tries to pull with most people. And Clav just is not having it. And I'm not even, the world's biggest fan of Clav. I think he's a pretty chill dude. I don't really agree with his met-maxing and whatnot. But, he makes some good points here.
I was doing a bit of jester maxing.
Yeah, but I mean, that's just attacking someone based on their, religious beliefs, and I don't really think that makes any sense.
You don't think Nick Fuentes ever does that?
Well, this is about you. If you want to morally grandstand over people, just because he did it, does that mean I can do it? That argument?
No. It's not morally grandstanding, but it's not.
No, it is.
Hang on. I'm not morally grandstanding, but I do think if somebody, for example, like him, has been very critical of people who are Jewish, for example, and have a Jewish faith, what's wrong with questioning him with his faith? And by the way, his faith is the same as mine. He's a Christian. I'm a Catholic.
I guess there's nothing theoretically wrong with it. It just feels like you're doing it disingenuously.
Right? And, I had no problem with his answer. I was just curious what kind of person he is. I'm curious what kind of person you are. What's interesting is you're clearly very different people, because I'm going to come to the van where you're all in the same van. And I'm like,
and credit where credit's due. At least Pierce is trying not to lump Clav in with everybody else that's in the video that he's about to show. But the fact that he's bringing him up and correlating him with it, it's no different than how the left tries to correlate Trump with the files and the island, just by mentioning them two in the same sentence, and people that are less informed hear it, they automatically will correlate the two together in their brain. And it's very manipulative psychology that he's using.
I'm sort of scratching my head as to what you guys have in common. I just don't see that you have much in common with someone like Fuentes, or why you would think it would benefit you to be seen with him in the way. In fact, let's come to it, because it was quite interesting. One of the few controversial things, genuinely, I think you've been involved with.
You definitely cannot correlate or just go ahead and lump him in with Myron or Fuentes, or none of these guys. All of these guys definitely have different points of view. And Andrew Tate, he's there in the pink suit in the background. Andrew's definitely mellowed out in the last year. Myron, he's normally wilding out. Nick Fuentes, he's the only person who I would call the R word, but in a almost respectable way. I like that he stands his ground. I like that if he gets called out for something, he'll let you know if he believes in it, and he'll try to at least explain why. I know Pierce thinks that he just kind of jokes around and doesn't genuinely believe what he says. I think he does. I think he's just not going to get riled up by somebody questioning him about it, and that's where my respect for Fuentes comes from. Myron, definitely what you would call red-pilled. And like I said, Tate's kind of mellowed out. And Clavicular, he just doesn't really fit in with the rest of them. And you can kind of tell that in the way that he's not sitting in the back with them. He's got a chair separating them. and he just wants to smile into the camera. So he's just up there, I guess, trying to mog, as he would call it.
Was this scene in Miami when you're in a van with the Tate brothers, with Nick Fuentes, with Sneeko? When you watch that video, are you?
And apologies, that looked like Tristan in the background, not Andrew. I know Andrew's on the bus. Don't know, he's not in that video, I suppose.
Comfortable about that?
Well, listen, Piers, historically, you've, kind of been talking about this whole thing with Ye for a little while. So I've actually got a Ye thing as well for you. So why would you go to that island, Piers?
I don't know why he was hesitating on that. And you can see he's struggling to keep a straight face. There's no evidence to prove that Pierce did anything like that, went to the island, but what I will say is that he is in the files and he has been to events, and I definitely don't think he did anything like that. I think that this is where Clavicular is just breaking it down to this logic is the same logic you're trying to use against me for the gotcha moment with the whole Kanye West song. And I like how this plays out. It starts off kind of childish and immature, but he actually brings the logic out pretty cool.
Which island?
You know what I mean? So that's the point.
Wait a minute. Which island? You mean the Epstein Island? Obviously, I've never been there, never met Epstein, never had any connection with him, not in the Epstein files other than references to being at lunches and things that have nothing to do with him. Well, no, you can go read them. The beauty of the Epstein files, you can go and check my name. You can read every entry. You'll see none of them have anything to do with him or his activities or anything. I'm just mentioned in passing as having been at completely unconnected events. So there's nothing to do with that. I met Ghislaine Maxwell.
This is where it gets pretty interesting. He's about to bring up that he's in photographs with Ghislaine Maxwell, and the logic that he's using is that if Pierce is going to try to hold him being with Tate and Sneeko and all them other guys and listening to the West song and be like, oh, well, do you feel guilty about this? Do you want to apologize for this? And Clavicular is going to be like, well, you're photographed with Ghislaine Maxwell. Do you feel guilty about that? Do you want to apologize for that? The logic is the same. And I don't know if Piers Morgan is not understanding that or if he's being purposely ignorant to the fact that what he's saying and what Clavicular is saying is the exact same logic. But listen to this.
To come to that, so I was pictured with her. Okay, I was pictured with her at a book launch for 5 minutes. I've talked about it.
And he was pictured with Tate and them other guys for not even a 5-minute video.
She admitted that under oath. The only time we'd ever met was for 5 minutes. So I have no connection to that scandal at all, other than I once met her for 5 minutes at a book launch. So let me come back to you in the van with the Heil Hitler song playing.
Well, this is like a little bit ridiculous. Because you're with
hang on,
Piers. You're with the number one.
I'm going to finish my question.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes. Let me finish my question. I'm just curious because Ye has now publicly apologized for all his anti-Semitic behavior and language in a full-page advertisement he took out in a newspaper. That came after the thing with the van. You've seen Andrew Tate trying to backtrack from what happened there. Fuentes doubles down because that's what he does about everything. He views it all probably as a bit of a joke and it doesn't matter. Sneeko, I don't think really matters. He's not significant in the way I think that you are in terms of influence. But I look at you.
I do love how Pierce tries to throw out these half-hearted compliments to try to get these people to let their guards down. And then whenever he's interviewing these people, he has not necessarily a different tone, but he won't say things worded in the exact same way. He'll word them in a way that just basically makes it sound like he's almost on their side. And I've noticed a lot, especially here in the last couple of years, is that whatever the people or whatever the trend is at the time is the side he's on. And it does seem like he tends to fence hop. And like if he's got, say, 5 people on his panel, if 3 of those people agree on a topic and 2 don't, he tends to get on with the 3 that agrees with the topic, whether it's right or wrong. and jump on the two. And in a way, it feels like he's not following his own thoughts or decisions. He's more or less just aligning with whatever's popular at the time and whatever is trending. And I guess if you're going to be in social media, there's nothing wrong with that. That's how you would get your views. But you do kind of lose the ability to do the whole moral grandstanding, and you're not based, as they call it. If you can't just stand your ground on what you believe and stick to your guns, if you're just going to change your view whenever pressure mounts, or if you try to backtrack, which he's not a super backtracker by any means, but he definitely sits on both sides of the fence, or at least attempts to. And it irks me, because it's like, if you think a certain way and you feel a certain thing, stand by it. What's the worst that's going to happen? What are they going to do? Say, oh, you're a bad person? So what? Why do you care if somebody who thinks that rioting and leading kids out on protests instead of studies in a state where a quarter of the literary rates is only passing? That was articulated horribly. I was trying to say only a quarter of the people in Minnesota can pass their literature test. So why would you care about what those people think if they can't even read a book and they think it's okay to lead underage kids out on protest?
You there, and you got a guy behind you literally doing a Nazi salute as Heil Hitler plays in this van. A song that basically pays. Well, hang on, a song that pays tribute. Well, you're singing along to the song.
Yeah, my issue is how does he have issue with him being in a van where somebody chose not him to play that Kanye West song, but he doesn't see the correlation between him being in a video with a woman who is choosing to do things? Neither of them have a part in any of it other than just being in that environment. That doesn't mean Pierce did anything wrong. That doesn't mean Clavicular did anything wrong. But the difference is Clavicular is not trying to say Pierce did anything wrong. He's just saying, how are you calling me out on this when you don't even see that yourself was in, logically speaking, the same situation?
And it pays tribute to the most genocidal monster of the last 100 years. And I'm just curious whether you think it's funny, whether you now regret being put in that position, whether you wish you hadn't been so enthusiastic about singing along to that song, or whether you don't care at all. And I don't have a fixed answer for you. I'm just curious what you genuinely feel.
Well, the thing is, Piers, I'm not political and I didn't play the song, so that's kind of all there is to it, right? And I find it quite silly to me that you're with the #1 looks maxer, and instead of asking how you could ascend so that, your wife wouldn't tweet out captions like, when my husband's away, Mr. Sud comes out to play. Maybe if you asked me how to ascend, then that would stop happening to you. You know what I mean?
Okay, so, well, you're okay.
I'm not a fan of calling it ascending. People have been looks maxing, or as he calls it, forever. People go on diets, they try to lose weight. The only thing that he's really doing differently is just putting a social media influencer twist on it and talking about it as if he's like, say, a professor of the matter. And I guess he could be. Not many people, I would say, have as many years like doing the research. A lot of people have just kind of naturally done it over the years and didn't really coin a term for it. And he did kind of coin that term, and that's where his relevancy would come from. And he kind of has that Clark Kent Superman look, so it's fitting.
Okay, so you're distracting, and that's fine. You're having your fun. I've got no problem with that. But just to be clear, you were in a van singing along to Heil Hitler. Do you regret doing that?
Well, I didn't play it, right? So it's like if someone were to come next to you in the street and play a song, it's like, you know what I mean? So it's like, I don't know why you're trying to get
along to it.
And this is exactly what.
Yeah, and he was in a photo with Ghislaine Maxfield, and he shook her hand. So does that mean, by his logic, that he's promoting that? That's my whole issue, and what I think Clavicular actually does a good job at getting him back on his own logic with.
What I mean by your production. Wait, listen.
No.
This is. I've got nothing to do with it.
I'm just curious.
I've got nothing to do with it.
Well, so you're singing along.
I really have nothing to do with it. I have nothing to do with it. And this is what I mean. right? So you basically lied to, my PR team that you wanted to come and interview me about looks maxing. And this is what you do, right?
I've
You
literally
try to
spent
catch
the
people off
first.
guard.
I spent the first.
And
Well, hang on. Stop being such a baby. I spent the first half hour of the interview taking you seriously about all the looks maxing thing. I find it genuinely interesting. I find it also interesting.
okay, so
that
let's
I
talk
do
about
not
that. I'm not political.
hang on. Let me
I'm not
finish.
getting
Let me
political with
finish my
you.
point. Let me finish my point. All right, let's try and keep things civil.
There's nothing wrong with it with Clavicular wanting Pierce to stay on the topic that they agreed to. And I've heard a lot of guests on this podcast come on and be like, "You told me this was going to be the topic." And yeah, Pierce might start out the conversation with that, but he does always try to lead it into something political. And a lot of his guests, now given a lot of his guests are political figures, but in his case and multiple others, they don't really make political posts. They totally just kind of do their own thing. And for him to try to turn everyone into a political, what's your view on this? It is a little bit disingenuous because he acts like, oh, you must have this view, and if you have this view, you must promote it. And if it doesn't agree with what my view is, then you're a bad person, and I'm just going to grandstand over you. And you can't really do that with Clavicular, for example, but multiple other people he's had on because they've never really gone into that political sphere.
There's no reason not to be. I'm just bemused why you would want to be associated with those other guys, most of whom have doubled and trebled down on it, who don't care. They don't mind idolizing Hitler. They think it's funny. They joke about the Holocaust and so on. I'm not sure you're that kind of person, but you have a chance to tell me whether you are, right? You were in this.
I just told you, I'm not political.
Well, it's pretty
I'm not
political to chant
but,
Heil. Well, to sing
but
to a
like
song
at
called
the end of the
Heil
day,
Hitler, you're being.
There's nothing political about singing along to a song. If somebody's listening to a rap song and they say that word that I'm not allowed to say, does that mean that they're automatically promoting that culture? Or does it just mean something simply as, oh, I like the song and I want to sing along to it?
It's like I don't know why you're trying to. I don't know why you're trying to make me this political figure when it's something that I've tried so hard to avoid. It's like I want to talk about looks maxing, but at the my position on everything is like I'm not going to be, scared to collaborate with people. That's something that was good for my career, objectively, to collab with bigger creators. It's like just as I would with any leftist. Like it really doesn't make any sense for you to do this whole Jester Max where you're trying to make me this like right wing guy when
I'm not joking.
Straight up.
I'm literally doing. I'm actually literally.
Well, no.
Hang on. I'm literally doing. Hang on, Clav. I'm literally doing the opposite. I'm actually giving you the chance to say you're not one of those right wing guys. That you don't idolize.
Yeah, but if he were to say that, then that would mean he was a left wing guy in Pearson's view. And Pierce is basically trying to force him to pick a side when he doesn't care about either side. You can't really. It's hard to pick something that you don't care about or that you're indifferent on.
There you go.
That you don't
for the sixth time.
Well,
I just said I'm not political.
Yes,
okay, that's my comment.
Okay.
So it's like if you're gonna make me like come on here and denounce like every single political figure, I'm not political. That's all you're getting, Piers. That's all you're getting is I'm not political whatsoever. Anyway. Okay, so back to looks maxing. Back to looks maxing, Piers.
I understand.
Like you're not.
I'm gonna try.
You gotta love how Clavicular is not letting Pierce like rile him up or bully him into picking a side that he doesn't believe in. It definitely it is respectable.
I'm not gonna have this gotcha moment where you
I'm gonna try. Okay, it's not a gotcha moment. You were singing Heil Hitler, right? You made it political, not me. As I said to you at the start of the interview, I will always challenge people on what comes out of their mouths. You were singing Heil Hitler with a bunch of people, some of whom have been brazenly anti-Semitic.
Who really cares? There's a ton of death metal songs that have murderous lyrics, and people sing along to them all the freaking time. Does that make them a violent person? No, it just means that they like the music.
I'm simply asking you, do you feel comfortable looking back on that video? Do you wish you hadn't done it? And do you understand why people were so offended by it?
he might be simply asking that, but if you ask the same question repetitively, you're pressuring someone into giving you an answer that they just don't have. And if you preface it with, do you feel uncomfortable or do you want to respond or apologize? That's adding in that if they don't apologize to it, then in your view, they're a bad person or have done something wrong. It's the whole wording of it. It's very, as I've been saying, disingenuous. It makes him look like, oh, he was guilty by association, and that can be a thing. But in this particular case, it's a freaking song that he didn't even pick to be played.
Yeah, I absolutely understand why people are offended by it, but at the end of the day, it's like something that went viral, and like I'm a content creator, but it was sort of more of a headache than it was a positive. So at the end of the day, and I'm not political, and this is kind of like what happened was now people are asking me all these questions about podcasts. So it's just really not something that I want anything to do with in terms of like my content to do political stuff, to do any of these like huge PR stunts. You know what I mean? So like I'm simply here to advocate for men's issues and looks maxing. So that sort of distracted from that a little bit. So that was never
I
the
get it.
goal.
So I get it, which is what I thought would be the case. So just to conclude that, not going to overrate it.
Okay, you
but
don't
to
have to
conclude
like
that,
keep going for clarifications. It's like I
no,
told
no,
you,
I'm not asking for.
I'm not
I'm not
political.
asking for clarification. I'm
That's all I'm
asking
gonna
you
say
just
about
one
it.
more question
That's
about it. Given
well,
what
that's
you've
I'm
just
not gonna
said,
say. I'm not gonna answer. I'm not gonna answer. So move on.
okay, all right, we have another question, yeah?
I'm not answering your questions about politics anymore. So this is exactly what
Okay.
Knowles did to me that landed me in a lot of trouble with the whole thing about JD Vance. Is like now
Yeah.
I attacked JD simply because, and I was trying to comment on looks, right? But this went viral all over
I get
Twitter.
it.
This is another pretty good point that he's making. Never been a political person. He says that Gavin Newsom looks max is better than JD Vance, essentially. And the right wing is trying to say, oh, he's a leftist because he's crapping on JD Vance, and the left wing is like, yeah, he's for Gavin Newsom. It's like, no, dude, he's not for either. He's just saying objectively, Gavin Newsom would fit his formulation of what is a higher ascension than what JD Vance would be.
And it distracted from my message, so that this is not like something that I want to keep happening, where it's like I simply make a comment about someone's body fat percentage, and all of a sudden I'm a left winger, I'm a Democrat, I support Newsom. It's like, no, I just simply said that he's fat, right? Like I didn't support anyone's
had you waited, Clav, you're getting ahead of yourself, because had you waited, I'd have said I totally understood what you were doing with JD Vance and Gavin Newsom. You weren't making a political statement, you were making an aesthetic statement. I didn't think you got political there. You were simply saying JD Vance looks a certain way, Gavin Newsom looks a certain way. For your look maxing aspirations for people, Newsom ticks more boxes than JD Vance, right?
I said that he Moggs him, yes.
Yeah, so I got that, and that's why I didn't think that was political at all. My last question on the other matter, and you don't have to answer, but I'm going to ask you the question, is given what you said about understanding why it offended people, wishing you hadn't done it, and so on, would you like to apologize for being involved in that?
I didn't play the song, so I've got nothing to say about that.
I love that he just stands his ground. He is not giving an inch. Like, this could be literally anybody on the planet, and I would be saying the same thing.
You're not sorry about singing along to it.
And you see how I'm saying the way that Pierce is wording this, he's wording it as if he's done something wrong. If you're at a club and they play a song and you're just there like dancing or whatever, does that mean you've automatically done something wrong just because they played that song? Do you have to start a protest there in the middle of the club? Is that what would make Pierce happy?
I had nothing to do with it, Piers, at the end of the day.
You did sing it.
had nothing to do with it, Pierce. Like, I don't know why you're
Okay.
trying to, constantly circle back. It's like, I'm not political.
No, I'm not. I just
Answered it.
okay. I've tried.
That all I'm
I've
saying.
given you three. I've just given you 3 opportunities, given you expressed regret for people who were offended and so on to apologize. You've chosen not to. You don't have to. I'm not forcing you. I'm not trying to gotcha you.
Would you
I've
like to
literally played a
apologize
video.
for being with Ghislaine Maxwell?
There you go. That was the win. And as he would say, Pierce just got mogged. Now, luckily, by the end of the video, they do patch things up and they're very content with each other. And this never got heated. It was a very calm back and forth that I am surprised that somebody a third of Pierce's age was able to mentally overcome him. But I do feel like he literally got Pierce on his own logic. And I just thought that was worth talking about. Here's Pierce's response, and then we're going to wrap the video up.
And being in the Epstein files,
No.
would you like to apologize for that?
No, because I've told you I'm in the Epstein files.
No apology. Based. Yeah,
No,
Epstein had aura.
You don't understand. You don't understand. The
Epstein had
difference being-
aura, Pierce. W admit.
Sorry?
Are you
He had
saying
what?
he had aura, so you're not going to apologize?
No, what do you think I'm apologizing for?
Well, you just said you're not going to apologize.
What do you want me to apologize for?
For being involved with Ghislaine Maxwell and Epstein.
Well, obviously, as I said to you, I never met Epstein or had anything to do with him. None of the references to me in the
And he's never met Kanye or had anything to do with the songwriting process.
Epstein files show any improper behavior at all. I'm simply mentioned in references to disconnected events like luncheons and so on that had nothing to do with him or Maxwell. And I met Ghislaine Maxwell for 5 minutes at a book launch.
And the song, I bet, didn't even last 5 minutes.
Where we talked about her father, Robert Maxwell, who owned the newspaper that I was the editor of for 10 years after he died. So there's nothing to apologize for. Whereas in your case, because you've expressed regret over being caught up in a situation that you said was out of your control.
I don't think he expressed regret. He He expressed indifference.
I don't think it's unreasonable of me to say, well, are you sorry? If you're not, you're not. If you are, now's your chance.
Well, listen, we've talked about, all those situations. So I think if you have any other questions, we could just move on to that, and I won't bring up your involvement with Ghislaine Max.
No, you can. You can talk about that as much as you want. Very happy to. If you have any supplementary questions.
Well, I'm here to talk about looks maxing, like I told your production team. But the
difference is I don't mind you. I don't mind.
Me.
I have no problem with you talking to me about Ghislaine Maxwell or Epstein or the scandal or anything.
I would hope not, because you're a political commentator. I'm not. I would hope you wouldn't have a problem with that, because that's literally your job. But it's not my job to sit here and talk about all of these different political issues. It's really not my job. Right. It's not something.
Well, can I offer you? Look, I have 3 sons, right? And they're a bit older than you. If you.
All right, so that's pretty much it. They just kind of go on about other stuff that's not really a point of the video. But here we have Clavicular mogging Piers Morgan at his own game. And I've never used that term before. I feel kind of cringe even saying it. But since he's the dude who likes promoting that term, I figured why not use it, since he definitely won that logical debate. Hope y'all enjoyed. Maybe learned something, maybe didn't, maybe it was entertaining. Hit a like, subscribe. I don't want no money or nothing. I just want your engagement. Have a great day.